All right, I left off with a cliffhanger. We can now successfully link to a post. The only problem is every single one is my first post. Obviously not what we want. So let's fix that. Clearly, it sounds like we don't want to hard code this HTML. Instead, it needs to be dynamic. So maybe we need some kind of variable called post that we can echo out. But of course, the only problem is it's not receiving a post variable. So if you come back to the browser and give it a refresh, it fails. Well, it seems like the next step is to somehow pass a post variable from your routes file to the view. Let's switch back and I'll show you how. Right here, as the second argument to the view function, you can pass a set of key value pairs. So if I said hello world, each item here will be extracted into its own variable, which means in your post view, you'll now have access to post, which equals that. Okay, let's give it a shot. Back to Firefox, refresh, and there you go. It works. But yeah, we don't want to hard code it here either. It sounds like we need to fetch our blog posts from somewhere. Now, you're probably thinking, well, put it in a database, but I'm not quite ready for that yet. So instead, in my resources directory, why don't we create a folder called posts? And within it, we'll give each one a name of the slug for your post, a unique identifier. So how about my first post.html? And now I still have it in my clipboard, so I can paste it here. Great. All right, let's do another one. This will be my second post. And mostly the same thing. We'll just swap out the heading there. And then finally, one more for my third post. Now, the bonus here is you could even imagine uploading this directory to a service like GitHub. And that way, others could contribute to your blog posts. They could fix a grammar problem, or they could clarify something. And those changes would get merged in. And at that point, download and refresh this directory, and your blog magically updates. And you now have open source blog posts. It's kind of cool. All right, let's switch back to our routes file. So let's see, what's the easiest route we can take here? Well, why don't we use plain old PHP file get contents? And we need to get the path to this file specifically. All right, well, I'll show you a couple options. The long way would be, well, start with the current file. So this gives you the path to where this file exists, the directory. And then let's see, we're going to go up to the base directory, into resources, into posts. Resources, posts, my first post.html. Okay, so we're still effectively hard coding it, but let's see if this works. I come back, refresh, and aha, it works. All right, we're getting somewhere here. Just a few more steps. Let's hide the sidebar. Maybe my next step, let's move this into a variable. Now in PHP Storm, I can easily introduce a variable like this, and we'll call it post. Otherwise, manually do it. The next step is, well, I can't hard code this, which means this portion here needs to be dynamic. So how do we do that? Well, let's think about it. Let's go back to the browser. What would be a way when I click on a post to signal to the route which post I'm trying to get? Well, maybe we could do it as part of the route URI. Have a look at this. What if I said, not post, it's a little generic, but what if we said, if you visit posts / and then some kind of wildcard? That wildcard could be my first post, but it could also be any slug. In Laravel, the term is wildcard, and we just type a string and surround it in braces. So the difference is, just to be clear, if I did this, it's going to look for this exactly, posts / post. However, if I wrap this in braces, this is now a wildcard, which means we're saying posts and then something. Whatever that something is will be matched and then passed to this function here. Have a look. If I immediately return that slug, and we'll comment this out, switch back to Firefox, and now we go to posts / my first post, and there you go. Whatever we have here can be accessed through that variable. Okay, so maybe you see where we're going here. The next step would be to replace this. And first, let's do this. Let's switch to double quotes, and then we're going to replace this with the slug. Now, we still need to be cautious here. There are some security measures we should take. But first, let's see if that works. Think about it. If the user goes to post/my_second_post, my second post is the slug. We then try to access my_second_post.html. It will fetch this, and then it will pass that HTML to the view, which means if I come back and give this a refresh, there's my first post. But if I swap this, my second post, it's working, and my third post. But what about my other post that doesn't exist? Well, it's going to blow up. We're going to get this error file get contents. It's trying to load this file, but it doesn't exist. All right, so we need to fix this. A first step might be to, well, once again, let's extract that to a variable, and that's going to be the path to the post. And then before we fetch it, why don't we say, well, if it doesn't exist, then something's going on. You're trying to access a post that we haven't created. Well, we could abort, we could redirect, but I'm going to show you this helper dd, and then the companion ddd. dd stands for die and dump, or dump and die. It's useful for quick debugging. File does not exist. Okay, have a look. If I come back and give that a refresh, this is what dd does. It kills the execution and dumps something to the page. Now, the companion ddd, very similar, but it's going to look more like the error screen you often see, like this. Dump, die, and debug. And notice, here's what you passed there. You can use either of those. So now you need to think, well, what should happen if we try to access a post that doesn't exist? Do we throw a 404? So I could say abort in Laravel. And notice the code will be, well, a 404 not found. Now if I come back and give it a refresh, there you go. You're trying to access a post that doesn't exist, 404. Another option would be to redirect. You could say, well, if that file doesn't exist, let's send you back to the home page. You can do that by saying return a redirect to, and then you give it a file path. So if we want to go back to the home page, the file path is /. Now, notice when I refresh, it's going to send me back to the home page. And that's what we want. Okay, now what else? Well, we do need to update these URLs because they're still going to /post. All right, easy enough. Let's go into posts. All right, let's see. This will be post/my first post. This will be post/my second post. And then finally, post/my third post. And that should do it. So my first, let's go back. My second, we'll go back. And my third. So this is better, but it's still not great. In the next episode, you'll learn how to add constraints to your route wildcards.